Hey everyone, if you're just joining me, this is Shona from She's Got Assets. I'm super excited to be doing a live stream here. I'm just getting everything working in the back end, so bear with me. I am just doing a couple things. I have a fun topic today. It's all about turnovers. So just give me a quick second and I'm going to get everything going here. There's just a couple things to do in the back end. So just hang out for a minute. There'll be lots of time for Q&A. As I get everything kind of going here. So welcome. This is the weekly live stream. I took a little time off in the summer, but I'm trying to get back to it. So if you can see me and hear me, like I think everyone knows the drill, let me know. And I will start the little presentation. So I think we're starting. Just give me 1 minute here. It's also like really hot in Portland and our AC was out and I'm upstairs. So in our home office. So let me just let everyone know that we're live. If you're just joining us, welcome. This is Shona from She's Got Assets. I'm super excited to be here. Just going to let everyone know that we are live. If anyone is tuning in, just feel free to comment. Let me know that you're there. I was like a late night DJ. So if you're just coming in, dropping in, there'll be a replay after this. So no worries if you missed something. I'm just going to type a comment. And it is kind of dinner time. So hey, if you're here, let me know. If you can see me and hear me, just type a 1, say hey, let me know where you're calling in from. You would tell me how the weather is. I took my daughter to the zoo today and it was like blazingly hot. We had fun, but it was really quiet. It was like 96 degrees. So anyway, if you guys can see me, please let me know. I super appreciate feedback and comments. So tonight we are going to be talking about, let me just get my notes here. Close a couple things out. Hold on. We're going to be talking about kind of like, turnovers. One thing, just I love midterm rentals because you don't have that many turnovers. We do have some turnovers and a lot of, sometimes they're a little bit seasonal, like maybe you had a guest for the summer or fall's coming up. And I had a guest actually move out early. It was an insurance guest. I loved their stay, but they ended up going back home, which was great. I already have it rebooked, but it just was kind of top of mind for me. So I'm going to stop now that we're live. I'm going to stop this coming soon. I'm just going to do like a little just chat. I don't have a presentation prepared. So a couple really top level things. If you have questions, please let me know, but just high level, I think it's really important to kind of have systems in place. I talk about a lot in the MTR Playbook, have supplies, what do you have? If you're doing the STR, like hybrid strategy, definitely have like a locked owner's closet. Most of you probably do that, but it's just like a closet or an area where you can keep like extra supplies, welcome gifts, things that you often need. So you're not like running to the store or having them delivered, right? So definitely have supplies on hand. Make sure that you have your, booking your cleaner well in advance. So you can use something like Turno, but if you don't, typically with midterm rentals, we don't have a ton of turnover, right? So I'm typically just letting my cleaner know a couple of weeks out, and make sure that you have like a smart lock installed. Make sure that they have a code. Typically you can automate that so you don't have to be there. There's no fussing about a key. And usually I do the last 4 of their number, right? So make sure they can get access really easily, make sure they're scheduled, get your carpet cleaner scheduled. And you can also like have stuff delivered, right? But essentially, if you're using things a lot, you can have them delivered on auto delivery. And there's services that will do that. I typically just buy it locally. Um, but that is kind of just like have a really good checklist, right? Every turnover, there's certain things that we're typically looking at, and it's really important that you have a good cleaner that's looking at that stuff. And I do think you need to kind of do a QA quality control check after your cleaner, because the cleaner is there to clean, they're there to deep clean. They often don't do that fluffing that a lot of us do, and that's really important for the guest experience. So if you're not local, if you're remote, I would consider like having a QA person stop by and do that bit of it. Again, we don't have a lot of turnovers with midterm, but we do have them. So those are some important pieces. So I'm just going to check the comments here if anyone has questions, and I'm going to go over kind of my specific like list of things here. I just have to check I can't see them in the current screen, so just bear with me 1 second. But yeah, I think, one thing I love again about midterms is we don't have a lot of turnovers. It's typically only every couple months, which is awesome. But if you have, a couple doors, they can happen together. And I usually like to have very tight turnovers, guests out, and then the next guest and the next day, right? So live, awesome. Thanks for commenting. Okay. Or no, that was an old post. Let's see. I'm just making sure if there's any comments here. Let me just check. It is really hot in Portland, so I feel like I'm sweating. Hey Maribel, you saw me in Summit. Yeah, I was there. I had to jump off. It was really interesting. I was really looking forward to there was an STR versus STR kind of debate. So hey Wendy, hey Lisa, awesome. Thanks you guys for joining. If you guys have any specific questions about midterms, like this is pretty straightforward, but I just wanted to share some tips. But anyway, so I think having good systems and processes in place, definitely having a checklist. I have a full checklist in the course. You guys, I'm happy to share that. If you guys want to see that, actually, maybe I'll just share my screen. Maybe that would be kind of helpful. So I'm going to actually share my screen. Um, Hold on. I can just stop. I think I have to stop this. Hold on. Stop screen. Okay, let me try adding another screen to this. And again, there's a lot that goes into turnover, right? That we can talk about marketing and all that other stuff, but I'm going to see, I think this will share with you guys so you can kind of see what I'm seeing. I'm going to add the, okay, so let me know if you can, hopefully you can see this. I'll make my face a little smaller. Okay, so I'm just going to share this. This is kind of like, I kind of have this in my head, but it is good to have a checklist, right? I call this to starter or disposable turnover checklist, right? Every host has a different strategy. I want the experience. I want it to be a good experience. I want it to feel like they're checking into an Airbnb, but they're staying longer, right? So they probably haven't had a chance to go to the store and grab coffee or maybe grab a snack or something. Some hosts go all the way, and just keep in mind you're going to be restocking all this stuff. I think I saw a thread. Someone's like, I leave all these spices. That is great. That's really thoughtful, but you have to restock those every time. And you can't have like a quarter full spice container, right? So just I think be really intentional that what you're leaving and make sure that it's repeatable and you're not going to be chasing down like cinnamon or something. Or if you are doing that, like get the Costco size containers, right, and put that in your owner's closet, especially if you're doing the hybrid strategy. But I'll just kind of go over my list here. I typically will leave coffee. I will decant it into a little jar, so I'm not leaving a full bag. Makes it a little more cost effective. I typically will leave like sugar, right? Non-dairy creamer, maybe tea. I like to leave a little welcome gift. I usually leave like chocolate, a bottle of wine or something non-alcoholic. I typically just do wine. Yes, some people may not want that. Most people just leave it if they don't want it. It hasn't been an issue. That's kind of my little welcome gift is chocolate, wine. I usually leave some popcorn. I'm going to add that here. Just some like a snack, right? That's usually what I do. It's kind of light, or you could leave like an energy bar, just something for people to munch on. But I think it's a nice touch when they come in, and also gives you a little bit of capital, right? If they come in and something's wrong and they came home to a nice welcome gift, it just feels like it buys you a little time, right? So those are kind of the welcome gifts that I usually leave. So that's kind of like kitchen stuff. There's some more notes down here. I also like everything is digital, right? But I do think I do email house notes, or if they're booking through Airbnb, they're going to get the house notes digitally. But we get so many notifications on our phone. I really like to have an old school printout version. Yes, it can be annoying when you make updates, but I just get like a white binder. I think I have one here. Yeah, I just get like a pretty basic binder. It's not fancy. And I actually like to put my one pager house notes this year. It's pretty high level, like what's the Wi-Fi? Sorry, that was really bad glare. Any check in, check out, check in and or Wi-Fi, anything about the heat or anything like that. That way you can see it at a glance, and they're not having to dig through the guest book to find that information. So I do like to put that in a binder. And house notes on a single page. Again, it's just a white binder, and you don't only have to do that once. And I do have to update them every so often. I do have a template in the course for that in the MTR Playbook. You're trying to make it evergreen. I do like to also include kind of neighborhood notes, right? And sometimes businesses change, so you do have to update it every so often, but typically it's good for a while. So that's kind of the welcome gift and house notes. I'm just going to check if there's any questions here. Feel free to ask questions as we're going. Lisa says, I've already implemented a few things from the course that has been very helpful. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's awesome. Thank you for saying that. Who do you market to with your MTRs? I'm happy to talk about that. Let me get through this, and it's kind of an in-depth conversation, but let me get through this and I will certainly circle back to that. It's a great question. It kind of depends on your property type. I'm wearing a sundress here. I just really, it was very hot in Portland. It's a heat wave here, and our AC actually went out. And just a little side tip here, check your filters because I think it was our filter that was full. So anyway, back to the turnovers, right? So I really like a binder. Like when I first started, we had everything digital, but it's just it's just easier to have it, like easy to reference, right? And I put everything about the property, any quirks. I have a lot of lights that come in automatically, right? All that kind of stuff. You can, I have a template and then you can go from there. And then in the kitchen, right? What I typically leave is like dish soap, and you need a full bottle. Don't leave like a quarter bottle of dish soap because it kind of looks used. That's what I don't like about short terms is we're constantly restocking, checking the levels of soap. With midterm, I'm usually like, if you're really organized, you could have like refillable bottles, right? I don't always do that, but I should, right? I definitely like a fresh sponge. I hate old sponges, right? Sometimes I'll keep them at the property just for cleaning stuff. Hand soap, right? Dish towels. I mentioned a sponge. Roll it one, like typically one roll of paper towels. And for kind of like essentials, I just use salt, pepper, and olive oil, right? Because you're going to constantly have to restock those. I have hunted down peppercorns before, and it's just, and if you want to get crazy and have a starter set, that's great. Just make sure that you have like restocking stuff on hand so you're not running to the store to find some crazy spice or something, right? Or just have it delivered. But that's kind of what I do. Everyone has a different style. You can be, if you want to leave more stuff. Sometimes guests leave extra stuff. I personally don't like leaving random spices. I like to keep it kind of clean and not look like someone else has been there, right? So it can be a fine line with what you want to leave there. Sometimes I'll leave stuff, but it's typically I like it to be pretty minimal. That way everyone has a different palate. We're not leaving tons of random spices. I do also always leave, obviously a fresh garbage bag, like maybe 3 or 4 garbage bags, dishwasher pods, and I've started to decant things, right, into like a little glass jar or something. That way I'm not leaving a whole bag of dish pods and I'm not leaving it like in a Ziploc bag. So that's kind of my kitchen setup. Just gonna check the notes here. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So bathroom, I typically, this is my pet peeve with long term. The guests or tenants typically take the toilet paper. I don't know why they take the whole roll. I always like it's like a little game. Did they take the toilet paper? With midterms, I typically don't, but I don't want to leave like a half roll on there. I want like a full roll, right? I don't always do a little design. Some cleaners do that. That's great. A little like fold or something, but I will leave a full roll, a couple rolls of toilet paper as backup in storage, right, or in the bathroom somewhere, a full thing of hand soap. I also like to leave body wash, shampoo, conditioner. These typically last a while, right? I'm not always restocking them. I also like to leave, cotton balls, Q-tips, makeup wipes, toilet bowl brush, cleaner, plunger. These are just kind of basics to have, but I do like to leave that in the bathroom. I often notice that the shower curtain liners get kind of funky, and that's a really cheap thing to replace. So I've sort of just have to have those on site because then I'm not running out to get them. So they even have some on site unless you have a glass door. But if you have liners, just make sure to have some on hand. My last turnover, they were taken off. I don't know why, but it happened. That's kind of like the bathroom notes, right? Obviously, each bathroom and checking the notes. I don't see any other notes or questions. Kind of basic stuff, right? And we're really looking for like a week supply of stuff. We're not looking to have them, I've really rarely had a guest ask to restock anything. That happened once, but typically they're on their own right after that. I don't spell that out in the listing either. I think it's kind of implied. Cleaning supplies, right? Laundry soap or pods. Again, I've started doing pods and putting them in a little glass jar. Then I can just keep them in stock a little more. Make sure you have a vacuum, a mop or a Swiffer, a broom, a nice cleaner, glass cleaner, again, toilet bowl cleaner, right? That's kind of like my basic turnover. There's a lot more, but I think in general, we just want to make sure that we're doing a really good quality control, like fluffing everything up. Things sometimes move around, make sure things are in place. You can take pictures of how you want things to be and like laminate them and have, I do have like a cleaner checklist in the course. So I've heard other people do that. I'm local. If you're not local, and I do think it's a good idea to kind of have everything really well documented and have like an SOP, standard operating procedure of what turnover looks like, because we think we have everything, and the worst thing is going to a property and like forgetting like paper towels, right? I just, in my head, I cycle through my list of what I need, and we have kind of like a little inventory section in our house because we're local. But just, I think it's really good to be prepared and have systems in place so you're not like running around, or if you're remote, like working with your like cleaner to do this stuff, right? So that's my really quick overview. If anybody has questions, feel free. Hey, John, thanks. Anyone has questions? But again, I think it's really important that when guests are checking in, it feels like a hotel experience or an Airbnb. Nothing should be out of place. I want them to walk in and see the welcome guest and just like take a breath and get settled and not see things amiss or just funky stuff, right? So I should add dish towels to this list. I'm gonna add that. I foresee it's all in my head. I don't always write this stuff down, but I'm gonna add dish towels. If I missed anything, let me know. The other thing you can actually do too, as far as I'm just gonna make this real time. If they have pets, right? Because I do think people have mixed feelings about pets. That's a different conversation. If they do have pets, I actually have started leaving little pet gifts out, like typically like maybe some dog bones, so like milk bones or something, right? And a little roll of doggy bags, and maybe like I don't usually do a water dish, but milk bones. For cats, I don't know, they're a little more picky, right? But for dogs, I like to leave milk bones out. And then selfishly, sometimes guests don't always pick up after themselves. So the little bags, I feel like, are kind of just a little nod of like, hey, please pick after your pet. Um, some people leave like blankets for pets. I typically will do couch covers, so I don't worry about that as much, but I do typically do couch covers to protect from pet hair and stuff. Milk bones. I was gonna there was something else. Oh, pet bags. I don't know what that's called, but you know what I mean. um so just a couple more notes there. Again, this is like a lot of this is in my head, but I try and document it for my students so they know. But yeah, that's the turnover thing. And I will gonna go back and check questions now, but I just thought it was a timely topic. Let me get back to my other screen. Okay. The Maribel is asking, do you have a preference for quality bath towels? There are services that you can order from. I'm trying to think of the one I can't think of right now, but I typically just go on Amazon, or, I would say Costco has a really good kind of hotel quality stuff. They have some great, like, really good sheets, and their sheet set, it's in the course, it's in the list, but they actually give you like extra pillowcases, which is awesome. So yes, it is best practice to have an extra set of sheets, right? And they do get stained, and I don't change them. I throw out that there's a stain, so it is good to have an extra bed set of sheets and like a duvet, right? Kind of in the closet for guests to use. So yeah, I would say Costco is just the best quality and pricing. I don't have a go-to, but I do like the sheets from Costco. They're really good quality, and yeah, great question. So, okay. And then Maribel, you had a question, who do you market? So it really depends on the property, right? If I have a larger property, like the one I just had a turnover, it's a 3, 2.5. I get a lot of displaced families for insurance claims. It's a larger property, or families kind of in transition, right? So I want to make sure that I'm networking with temporary housing companies. I'll talk about this a lot in the course, and going to their databases and submitting myself and really optimizing my listings to let guests know that that's who we work with, that kind of guest, that kind of guests. If you have a 1 or 2 bedroom, right, you're probably more marketing to travel nurses, digital nomads. But I think regardless of who you're marketing to, there are really key platforms that you want to be on. Like, I have a whole list in the course, but I would say hands down for marketing, Airbnb, Furnish Finder, and Zillow are like the critical sites. There's a lot of other sites, check out Mini Stays. They're kind of a newer MTR site, but you want to be omnipresent, you want to be everywhere, but those are like the top sites, and it really just depends on the type of property. That's who you're going to market to. And like, to your point, if you have like maybe a 2 bedroom, you might, when I talk about this in the course, you might want to have like blackout blinds or blackout curtains, right? If you have nurses and a noise machine, right? So you kind of want to know who you're catering to. If you're catering more towards families, right, you might want to have, like, I don't typically get a lot of young kids, and if I do have a family coming to see a property, they will tour in person. So I always will say, if you need anything, let me know. I'm more than happy to provide that. So you kind of have to know your property. And if you've been running it for a while, you typically get comfortable. You kind of understand who's coming to your property. And you always, part of your checkout thing too, I talk about this in the course. Now I'm just going off is, draft a message. Hey, we're so happy to have you. We hope you enjoyed your stay. Is there anything we can do to improve your stay? Any recommendations? And that way you're always improving the property, and you're asking them for feedback, because like reviews don't matter so much for the midterm, but you'd rather have that feedback internally than on a review, like, hey, it was great, but ... right? So I always ask for that. Okay, so Maribel, you said they have a unique situation with a 3222 all next. I'm assuming 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. I don't know what the 222 all next, or maybe I'm not sure. All next door to each other. I'm converting to midterm specifically. Is this thing, so insurance is great. It's a really great niche within midterm. And typically they're looking for kind of more single family, right? They don't necessarily want to share. I don't know what your setup is, but I think in general, like a 3-2 is like a minimum for insurance, because we're talking about families. They're often even looking for bigger properties, but I host a lot of insurance families with a 3-2 or even bigger. So it sounds like you're going after the right avatar, but we don't ever want to just get solely focus on insurance, right? Because we don't know when they're going to come in. We want to optimize for them. We want to make sure we're well positioned for that, but we don't want to rely on insurance leads, right? We want to make sure that we're, attracting different types of guests, like families. I get a lot of families that are buying a house or selling a house or moving here, and they just kind of want to settle for a minute. That's typically the other type of guest I get in larger properties. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Any other questions? And if anyone has like a listing or anything, I guess we're kind of at time here. If you want me to if you want me to share it's all in the course. If anyone's here in the course, you have access to this. But if you want me to share my spreadsheet, I'm like happy to do that. Actually, I'm still showing it. Just drop a like starter list or something in the chat, and I'm happy to share it with you. It is in the course as well. Maribel, you're saying yes, a 3-bedroom, 2 bath. Oh, 2-car. Got it. I have 3 properties. Are they kind of separate? I would say, like, ideally they're going to have like fence yards. It sounds like they have parking. So as long as they're kind of, most families want, or insurance are looking for single family. They don't love shared walls and stuff. Sometimes it works out, and I do have a lot of properties, but I think ideally there's nothing shared, but they do work, right? Everything is a little bit nuanced, but from what you're saying, it sounds like those are good properties. But again, just don't focus on one type of guest, right? So, but yeah, and if anyone is in the Portland area, I am having a meetup. So definitely check that out. It's next week. It's Thursday. It's not virtual, unfortunately. So if anyone isn't local, I'm going to drop a link to that meetup if you guys are local. Definitely. And it's one of our midterms. We had insurance guests that moved out early, so I always like to host them at our properties if we can, just to give you guys a tour of it. I'm going to get that link really fast. I'm going to share it. Okay. Copy. So I'll share this. If you are in the Portland, Oregon area, hey Shay, I will send you the starter list, no problem. So this is if you're in Portland, the other thing is I am hosting a webinar talking all about midterms and sharing some great secrets in there. So that'll probably be at Friday at noon, I think. So I'll get that link out. I just haven't done the back end of it yet, but stay tuned for that. If you want to join that. Maribel, do I have info here about courses and resources? Yeah, actually, I'll be covering that on Friday, or we can set up like a quick chat. I have a couple of slots open, kind of go over what you're looking for and what you're looking to learn, and then if it's a good fit, no pressure. But I love working with students that kind of already have properties set up, and you're at the perfect stage. It sounds like, so we can hop on a call, or I'll DM you after this. Hey, Duell, I feel like I said that wrong. I'm like terrible with names. Any other quick questions? Again, if you want, hopefully you can come to the meetup. It's really just about networking with local folks. There's so many meetups in Portland. A lot of them are more focused on maybe flipping and stuff, or wholesaling. And this is really if you're a flipper, great. But I really wanted a place for people to come and network as operators, or if you're LTR, MTR, STR, whatever flavor, right? we're inclusive. It's just a great place to share tips and network, and like, if we that way we can get to know each other and share leads locally. So that's what it's all about. It's just helpful if you can RSVP. That way I kind of know how many snacks to have. So yeah, if anyone else is interested in learning more about the course, I have a couple options. I have kind of more of a coaching program that's a lot more hands-on, than I have a self-serve option. So just depending on where you are in the process, but I kind of give you my recipe, my secret sauce to get up and running really quickly and hold your hand through it. So, and I love working with students. It's like my favorite thing. So, and yeah, so I think that's it. I am working on a really fun creative deal. It's really hey, oh, stop, awesome. Yeah, you should totally stop by. Yeah, I'm working a really fun, like super creative deal. Like I really want to spill the beans, but I can't yet because it's not under contract, but I've had a lot of conversations today. I will say it's a seller I've worked with before. But I bought a property on a no installment plan, and it's they're introduced me to another property, so it's really exciting, and it just speaks to the power of like relationships, and it's a people business. So anyway, I'm so excited about that. I'm gonna wait until everything is like finalized. We'll see how it turns out. Awesome, Shay, you just got the course. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Oh yeah, I'm so excited. We'll definitely take advantage of the coaching calls and book that call if whichever one you purchase, and then yeah, because I really want to help you guys, and sometimes it's helpful to have those one-on-one calls. So Lissa's the sign for the outside is good. The MTR do host. Look, a whole well, wholesaling is a whole different animal, and I think this is my soapbox about wholesaling. And take it or leave it. I think it's like an easy entry point, but I don't. It's easy in big fat air quotes. It's hard to get a proper, not hard, but you have to do a ton of marketing, and it's a volume game, right? You have to get a super deal on a home to assign it for wholesaling. So I think it takes a lot of work. I think it's a great model, and it really helps out people maybe in need of a quick sale, right? I personally like buy and hold, and I like more creative stuff like seller carry, owner financing, whatever you want to call it. And I teach that in a different course, the REA Playbook. It's kind of marketing to specific types of landlords, basically tired landlords. So that's kind of my jam. I dabbled in wholesaling. I just didn't like the idea of saying, hey, I'm going to buy your property. Guess what? Not really, I'm going to sign it. And then, I'm not really there to see the process through. But lots of people do really well with wholesaling. I think you just have to understand you have to spend a lot of money on marketing or door knocking and be really persistent. And it's really not for me, but I've tried. Yeah. So nothing against wholesaling. But it just takes a lot of effort, like anything, right? This business isn't easy. It isn't as easy as everyone sometimes makes it out to be, but it can be great, right? Wholesaling can be, all these strategies work. I think you just have to find the flavor that you like. And to me, the real power, this is my soapbox again, is like buy and hold, right? Cash flow, that's why I like midterms, we get amazing cash flow, and we're holding the asset, building equity, all that good stuff, right? But it's a long game, right? So anyway, yeah. Um, but I feel like it's getting late. Does anyone else have any other questions? Thank you for that engagement. Like, I really appreciate it because I always feel like I'm talking to myself. Lissa, yeah, I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, the MTR playbook is all about how to market for off-market properties without door knocking or cold calling, which I don't like. It's a very strategic kind of special. I mean, it's kind of a hybrid strategy that I teach in that course, and it does take work, right? But it's how you find off-market deals that are often open to owner financing, right? Essentially free and clear properties, and that's what I teach. That's what I learned. I tried all kinds of strategies, and I found what I think is like the secret sauce from other mentors, and now I teach on it. And I was just talking to a seller today that actually, yeah, I have a note through her, and she's introducing me to another person. I don't want to say anymore because I'll like spill the beans, but yeah, it's a very specific strategy that I teach in that course. So happy to chat more about that. I might do another little live stream on it because I think a lot of times we're taught to like go door knocking or put up bandit signs. Bandit signs are those things you see on telephone poles, right? Door knocking, bandit signs, SMS, cold calling. I don't like any of that. It's not my jam. Some people are really good at it. Like kudos to you. It takes a lot of guts, right? I like a different style. So I tried that. I don't think I tried. I dabbled in things and I found strategies that I really liked, and that's what I teach. So yeah, happy to share more about that. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'm kind of melting. I'm so glad our AC is back on. I'm gonna go put some air filters in our filter. But for anyone local, I'd love to see you, and I will be posting information on the webinar that I'm doing on Friday. I'm sharing some MTR secrets and lots of knowledge and more about the course if you're interested. So if anyone again wants that checklist, just type like starter set and I'll send you a quick message with it, and it's totally, your copy is free. You can add to it, change it. So yeah. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm gonna go make some dinner and change my air filter, but I appreciate it. I'll see if there's any other questions. Awesome. Okay, you guys, so great to thanks for tuning in tonight. And I will hopefully catch you guys next week. Again, if you're watching the replay or have any questions or want links to anything, just drop a comment in and tag me and I'll follow up with you. So, all right, you guys have a good night. Talk to you soon.